The two little orphans. In the vibrant and sunny village on Zere, at the southwest area of Conakry, lived a man named Musa. He was a successful trader with two wives, Amina and Nejoa. Amina, the first wife, was a mother of two boys, of what she was proud, Diallo and Koffi. In the other hand, Ajoa was the mother of two girls and a baby boy. The two wives didn't get along at all, and their husband was often called to resolve issues between them. Amina was peaceful, while Ajoa was resolute to take the lead and get everything she longed for. Musa was known for his lacks of strength and personality. Regularly, he showed a lack of standing up for justice. Sometimes he would accept the will of the second wife, only to avoid confrontation. One sunny afternoon, Amina fell sick suddenly and passed away 3 days after. That fateful day, the sky was overcast, and a somber silence hung in the air. Diallo and Koffi had been sent to fetch water from the nearby stream, a task that took hours. Upon their return, they found their house unusually quiet. As they approached, they noticed a crowd gathered around the doorway, whispering in hushed tones. Their hearts raced and they pushed through the throng, only to find their mother lying lifeless on the floor. Her face, once full of life and love, was now a pale mask of death. Diallo dropped the water jugs, his leg giving away beneath him. Koffi, too young to fully comprehend, clung to his brother, tears streaming down his cheeks. Ajoa stood at the edge of the room, her face a cold mask. She watched the scene with a detached air, her arms crossed over her chest. As the village women tried to comfort the boy, Ajoa's voice cut through the air like a knife. "Stop crying," she snapped. "Your mother is gone, and nothing will bring her back. Get up and clean this mess. We have guests coming for the funeral." The boys looked at her in disbelief, their grief compounded with the harshness of her words. They had lost the only person who had ever truly loved them, and now they were left at the mercy of a woman who despised them. She was rapidly buried, as is customary, and none of her boys didn't get what had happened. But they knew that nobody will never care for them anymore. Overnight, the two boys has become orphans. From that day on, the two little orphans had known nothing but sorrow and hardship. Diallo was 9 and Koffi was 8. Their father had hoped that after the death of their mother, Ajoa would provide them with a maternal figure. However, Ajoa was a cold-hearted woman who bared resentment toward the children. She saw them as a burden and a constant reminder of her husband's previous marriage. Ajoa's cruelty knew no bounds. The days that followed were a blur of sorrow and exhaustion. Diallo and Koffi were forced to prepare for the funeral, their small hands trembling as they carried Ajoa's orders. The village looked on with pity, but no one dared to intervene. On the day of the funeral, the sky swept in solidarity with the boys. Rain poured down in torrents, soaking the earth and adding to the words of their grave. Diallo and Koffi stood by their mother's grave, the hearts heavy with the knowledge that they were now truly alone. As the final shovelful of earth was placed over their mother's coffin, Ajoa's cold voice echoed in their ears. "This is your new life now," she said. "You will work hard and do as I say, or you will suffer the consequences." She will force Diallo and Koffi to do all the household chores, often denying them food if they fail to meet her impossible standards. The boys, aged of 10 and 8, bore the brunt of her anger, their innocent faces etched with the pain of their daily struggles. And so Diallo and Koffi thrived to face each day with a resilience that belied their young age. They worked tirelessly, enduring Ajoa's cruelty with a quiet dignity. Ajoa's cruelty reached a terrifying climax one night when she led them to the graveyard. She dragged the boys to their mother's grave, her eyes gleaming with malice. "If you don't obey me," her voice a cold whisper, "I will bury you here, just like your mother." Months had passed since the death of their mother, and Diallo and Koffi had grown accustomed to their stepmother Ajoa's cruelty. One day, their father surprised them with new clothes for an upcoming festival, the first real celebration since their mother's passing. The day of the festival would be a rare gift of happiness shining upon the boys. Diallo and Koffi wore their new clothes with pride, their faces beaming with joy. They were delighted by the vibrant and soft fabric, feeling a sense of normalcy and belonging. As they walked to the village square, the other children admired their outfits, and for a few precious hours, the weight of their sorrow lifted. At the festival, the boys laughed, played, and even danced. They tasted sweet treats and watched colorful performances, their eyes wide with wonder. It was a day of pure joy, a respite from their daily hardships. For the first time since their mother's death, they felt like ordinary children. As the sun began to set, Diallo and Koffi reluctantly returned home. They were still excited about the games they had played and the dances of the village celebration, but their joy was short-lived. The following morning, Diallo had removed their festival clothes, intending to carefully fold and put them away. He searched them but couldn't find them inside the tiny bedroom. Full with confusion, he ran outside to look for the familiar fabric behind the house. As he approached, his heart sank. The clothes laid on the ground stained with blood. Koffi's eyes widened in horror as he realized what Ajoa had done. She had used their cherished new clothes for her menstruation, destroying the only symbol of happiness they had known in months. Anger and sorrow filled up inside him, a storm of emotions he struggled to contain. He rushed back into the house, his voice trembling with rage and heartbreak. "Koffi, Koffi, come here!" Koffi ran to his brother's side, his eyes widening as he saw the blood-stained clothes. and he clung to Koffi, his small body shaking with sobs.
Why, Koffi? Why should she do this? Ajoa appeared in the doorway, her face twisted with disdain. What are you two crying about now? You think you deserve those clothes? You are nothing but a burden.
Diallo looked up, his eyes burning with defiance. Those were our own clothes. Why did you do this? Ajoa's lips curled into a cruel smile. Because you don't deserve anything. You think you can be happy without suffering? Think again. The departure. Diallo had endured the beatings, the bullying, the sleepless night, the day without any food, but he couldn't bear that. It was too much. It was the most severe pain. It was the worst pain he had felt since the death of his mother. With the headache and pain in his chest, Diallo dashed out with a look back to his brother. Koffi hugged his brother tightly, his own tears falling unchecked. I don't know, Koffi. I don't know why she's so cruel. The boys retreated to their room. The injustice of it all was too much to bear. The boys held to each other, their bonds unbreakable, their hearts united in silent resistance. The boys held on to each other, their bonds unbreakable, their hearts united in silent resistance. They had no idea of where to go and escape the torment they endured. That night, Diallo whispered to Koffi, his voice filled with determination. I have to leave this place, Koffi. I will come back and pick you up. You have to stay strong for each other and for mother. Koffi nodded, wiping his tears with the back of his hand. I will. We will get through this together. He had to go somewhere, anywhere, but he couldn't stay here one more night. The night was cold and unfriendly, but it was better than seeing his stepmother wicked face. Unsure if he could find a warm place to stay, with a heavy heart, Diallo slipped out of the house and ran until he reached the rest area where truck's driver stopped to relax. It was a place where people were chatting and drinking cheerfully. Their faces seemed friendly to him. He drew closer but managed to stay in the dark shadow of a huge truck. He was so exhausted that he didn't realize that he had fell asleep. The following day, he hoped to find some solace among the strangers. He had often seen them there, and in his desperation, stayed there speechless. The drivers were rough men, but they had a certain kindness. Diallo offered to do any job, no matter how menial, just to earn his food. He cleaned trucks, fetched water, and helped with repairs, his small hands becoming callous and strong. Few months after, one driver, a man named Ibrahim, took pity on the boy. Ibrahim saw in Diallo a reflection of his own childhood struggles and decided to take him under his wing. Diallo, you remind me of myself when I was at your age, Ibrahim said one evening, his voice rude but kind. You have a strong spirit. Stay with me, and I will teach you everything I know. Diallo's eyes shone with gratitude. Thank you, Uncle Ibrahim. I won't let you down. From then on, Koffi traveled with Ibrahim, helping him with the truck and learning the trade. Ibrahim treated him with a fatherly care, providing him with food, shelter, and a resemblance of the family he had lost. Diallo worked hard, his body growing stronger and his mind sharper. At the age of 16, Ibrahim began to teaching Koffi how to drive. The first time Koffi sat behind the wheel, his hand trembled with excitement and fear. Ibrahim's steady voice guided him, and slowly Diallo gained confidence. He found joy in the rhythm of the road, the hum of the engine, and the sense of freedom it brought. One day, as they drove through the stretch of countryside, Ibrahim turned to Diallo. "You've become a fine young man. Your mother would be proud." Tears welled in Koffi's eyes. "I think about her every day, Uncle Ibrahim, and I think about my brother. I promise I would come back for him." Ibrahim nodded, his expression solemn. "And you will. Then when you are ready, we will go back together. But for now, you need to be strong." Year passed, and Diallo honed his skills, becoming a trusted driver. He traveled in many foreign countries and learned about different culture. His heart, though, remained heavy with the promise he had made. He often wondered about Koffi, praying his brother was safe. Finally, on his 20th birthday, Diallo felt ready. He had saved enough money and had gained the strength and courage needed to face Ajoa. With Ibrahim by his side, they returned to the village. As they approached the house, Diallo's heart raced. He saw Koffi in the yard, now a teenager. His face ached with the same sorrow he had once worn. When Koffi saw Diallo, his eyes widened with disbelief, then filled with tears of joy. "Diallo, you came back!" Then he ran to his brother, hugging him tightly. Diallo held him closer, his voice shocked with emotion. "I promised, didn't I? I will never leave you again." Ajoa appeared in the doorway, her face twisted with anger. "What are you doing here?" Diallo stood tall, his voice steady. "I am here to take my brother. We are leaving, and there is nothing you can do to stop us." With Ibrahim's support, they faced Ajoa's fury. She tried to protest, but the boys were resolute. They left the village together. They had each other now, and it was all that matters. "We will breathe a new life, Koffi, a life Mama will be proud of." And so, the brothers began a new chapter in life. They are bound unbreakable and ready to face the world with courage and love. Despite Ajoa's attempt to crush their spirit, their love for each other and the memory of their mother gave them the strength to endure. They knew that their suffering would end and they would find the peace and happiness they so desperately deserved. Their mother spirit lived on within them, a beacon of hope in their darkest hours.